Welcome to the Germinate podcast, where agriculture, business, and innovation take root and thrive. I'm Joe Sampson, and with nearly 2 decades of experience in agricultural equipment and scaling businesses, I'm here to bring you actionable insights, inspiring stories, and strategic advice. Whether you're an industry veteran or just starting out, this podcast is your guide to cultivating ideas, expanding your knowledge, and growing your venture. So let's get started and germinate your path to success. How many networking groups have you joined that meet a couple of times a year and fizzle out? I know a lot of us have. That is why we are creating the Momentum Networking Group. It's going to be led by myself and Mr. Jeremy Kredicke of Syngenta's digital strategy team. Our monthly virtual sessions are going to bring guest experts to help you grow and drive results to your company. Connect, learn, and build momentum together. That is the exact idea of the Momentum Networking Group. Sign up today at embosales.com/events. That's www.embosales.com/events. All right, folks, welcome back to the Germinate podcast. First out of the gate, let's thank some more of our sponsors. GBGI out of Chardon, Ohio. gbgiusa.com is their website. Planter disc blades, opener blades, gauge wheel arms, parallel arms. They're your go-to source. Also want to shout out to a company called Magrotech out of Dublin, Ireland. They are getting into the U.S. industry now. Both of these will show their face at some U.S. shows, so excited to hear that. Also, shout out to a company in Des Moines called Ag Express. All things wire harness, wiring. They do a lot of repairs. So check them out as well. Ag Express out of Des Moines, Iowa. Magrotech out of Dublin. And GBGI out of Chardon, Ohio. Also, real quick, let's throw a kind of a pub out there for sponsoring our podcast. Go to our link or go to our website at embosales.com, embosales.com. You can get some information there on how to sponsor the podcast. If you want to put some B-rolls, mid-rolls, whatever the case may be. We are growing and growing by the episode. It's crazy to think of, but appreciate all the support already. And we're just going to keep building momentum here. So we'll see where it takes us. So thank you all for that. Now on to today's episode. We've got Chris Morbitzer with the North Built Software Solution. Chris and I met at the last FEMA show, and where was that, Chris?
That was is that Fort Myers? Am I remembering that right?
Yeah, that's right. It was Florida. It was Florida. And I think you just came up to me. We had a nice conversation. I'm like, all right, this is good stuff. And I had just started out in my kind of new career, and I think that was one of your first or second or new FEMA conventions. So
yes.
Anyway, welcome aboard, Chris. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you, Joe. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
So I always ask the same question right off the bat, but nobody knows you, assuming nobody knows you on this, and you're kind of giving your elevator pitch to you and North Built Software Solutions. The floor is yours, my friend. Go ahead.
So I'm Chris Morbitzer. I am the co-founder and CEO of North Built Software. We build, support, and maintain custom software for manufacturers and other mid-size, independent, and a lot of family businesses in the U.S. We're 100% U.S. All of our development is done onshore, and we pride ourselves on craftsmanship and building to last.
Yeah, that's a good thing to say. You're onshore. That's a big topic these days. Everybody's like, hang on, are we doing this?
Could talk about that if you want later.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole what a mess, man. I don't even know where to go with it. But yeah, so you co-founded this business. So when you were thinking about this idea, where were you? What was going through your head? You obviously you had a solution, and you wanted to bring it out to everybody, or you knew a problem and you knew you had a solution. So what was that creation like, and walk us through that?
Yeah. Well, it starts pretty far back. I mean, those who knew me growing up are not surprised that I
Okay.
work in computers today. My my dad actually was a pipe fitter. He worked for, the family business in Ohio. They did service line outdoor service line repair and gas line repair. As an aside, me growing up, watching the family business, getting to see how business actually works, intimately, I believe that sparked my entrepreneurial ambition right there. But he had taken home from work, a computer that they didn't need anymore, and I must have been probably only 4 years old or so. And if you go on to my LinkedIn profile right now, the cover image that's, like, right at the top that goes across the screen, it's a picture of me in that computer when I am about 4 years old.
Nice.
It's yeah, I love having that there. It's always a good conversation starter.
That is great. That is great.
Mhm.
So you were a young kid starting out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and, my mom herself too, she was early in her career also and working in IT. At that time, you remember personal computers were new-ish, certainly new in the workplace, and it was exciting for everyone to figure this out, and, it was exciting for me as a little kid. I think my parents saw the value of technology, and I believe also the common narrative at the time was get your kids exposed to computers. This is the future, right? Personal computers are here. Technology is only advancing, so get your kids exposed to it. We don't exactly say the same thing today as parents to our kids, right? But
Yeah.
at that time, it was get as much exposure as you can. And so that's what they did. And when we got the internet, you remember the AOL discs?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when we got the internet, a few years later, whenever that was, I just remember being enamored with it. I couldn't believe that it felt like the whole world was open to me, and, I could even communicate with folks all the way across the world.
Mhm.
Today, uh, I would I would there's no way I would let my kids communicate with people across the world, but again, different time, different culture, and I wanted to know, "How do I do this? How do I do this?" And so I started building websites. I just started figuring out how to do it. I found out that at that time, you remember websites were not, flashy or fancy. It was text, it was some color, not a lot of pictures because pictures took forever to
Yeah.
download.
Right. I
So
remember.
it was very rudimentary, and it wasn't harder than middle school math. And so I was like, "Well, of course I wanna do this. This is fun. This is scratching my curiosity itch. This is, more fun than the things I'm learning in school." And not that school was bad, but
Right.
this is a lot more exciting for me. And so I just started doing that and figuring it out as I went. And when, I believe you've said you've got kids too, and I have 4, of my own. They're, 5, 4, 3, and 2.
Oh my
So
gosh, man, that is wild.
we are
That's a busy house.
full of joy in this house. I tell people we are abundantly blessed, but not so much to be self-sufficient, and that's probably good for me.
Yeah. That should be a bumper sticker. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
that's great. Well, and the thing that's funny about, not to interrupt you, but,
Go ahead.
you itch a creative thought process too when you're building
Yes.
websites. You're not just doing a math problem, in middle school math. You're actually using your creative, almost artistic side. And in those days, building a website was a lot of work, you know? It
Yeah.
was like, okay, it takes time. And were you building sites for people or just for fun, or?
For fun for me and then for my friends, and it's all we were in middle school, right?
Sure.
So it's hobby sites. It's a site about a video game or about baseball
Yeah,
or
right,
about
right.
Wendy's. I really liked Wendy's, so there you
Yep,
go.
yep, yep, okay. Shout out to Wendy's. There you go.
Yeah,
Yep.
there you go. So from there, I moved into learning what you might call more rigorous programming languages, C++, and its relatives, right? And as the tech advanced, even for building websites, right, web technology got better as well. I just simply kept up my learning. I was just
Yeah,
fascinated, "Oh, you can do this now with websites? How do you do that? You can do this now. How do you do that?"
right.
And folks who get their start now, it's a very different landscape because you have to catch up to
Yeah,
all of this. technological advancement. For me, it was just learning one thing at a time over a long course of
You
time.
just kept stacking knowledge. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right. So, in high school, I started a business. I talked about the entrepreneurial itch. I started a web hosting business, and most folks know today kind of what that is. Essentially, it's just where you put your websites. It's the server where you put your website. You pay
yeah.
someone to do that, right?
Popular names now are Squarespace or WordPress or yeah,
Absolutely,
yep, yep.
yes, yes. And at that time, it was all websites were all handmade, right?
Okay.
There was no WordPress then, and so, you had a web host and you hired someone usually to code your website, and they put it up on the web host. Well, I was the web host in high school. That was a bad idea. I won't say terrible idea, but I was way overcommitted.
Oh, really? So
Oh, yeah.
everybody came to you and said, I want this," and
Well,
you're like,
people across the world, and they were actually paying me.
"Oh, you're kidding me," and you're a high school kid. Yeah.
Right. They don't know I'm a high school kid. I didn't
Right,
tell them this.
right. Of course, yeah.
I didn't even really tell my parents what I was doing. They kinda knew. They kinda
Right.
figured it out, but they didn't completely know either, and
Like,
it wasn't like I was making a ton of money.
why is Chris getting well, yeah, but still, Chris is getting mailed checks. What's going on here? What's he doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But I
crazy.
learned real lessons about business there, the importance of reliability, right? The value of trust in relationships. I screwed that up so many times because I'm in high school, right? I'm
Yeah,
still learning, and you expect that from a 16-year-old, right? Like you think of the jobs you or I had at 16. I had some real jobs too, quote
yeah,
unquote real jobs. Uh, and we make mistakes, and we're expected to make mistakes. But the folks on the other end of my web hosting business did not know I was 16. Were not expecting me to make mistakes, and I had to eat some crow on quite a few occasions because I was making those mistakes.
you couldn't deliver or you kind of overcommitted or, I mean, what was it?
Definitely
You
overcommitted, and
overcommitted, yeah.
a web host, you need reliability. You need 24/7 always on because the internet is always on. And
Right,
as the internet became more important to commerce, and we're starting to see the beginnings of e-commerce, if your website is down, it's like your doors are locked. Just
right,
flip the sign around. You're closed. Don't
yeah,
come in. And that's not that's bad for business,
sure. Yeah, exactly.
right?
That's people panic.
I, screwed something up, I was on the hook to figure it out, and it might mean, here I am 15 years old pulling an all-nighter to try and figure out what's wrong with the server, and then I, like, get it 30 minutes of sleep and then roll into school and try
Oh,
and pay
dude,
attention. It
wow.
was awful. I would never tell
Yeah.
my kids to do that.
Yeah, but, you said, it's sort of like oh, what's the quote? But almost always the person that thinks they're the smartest in the room is almost always the dumbest. So when you put yourself in situations like that and you learn and you understand, hey, I made mistakes. That's how you get wise, man. That's how you stack up the map and get wise. So I love that you went through it. I mean, not many 15-year-old kid. I have a 15-year-old kid. No way. No way he would do that. He's a little entrepreneur, but he needs his sleep, He's doing stuff during the day, but that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I grew up in Ohio, but I had moved to Minnesota at some point. There's a longer story there. I took a tangent into city planning, that'll be a different conversation, I'm
This is
sure.
after high school or
Yes, yes.
okay, okay, you're still in high school.
So I saw my dad working in the field, right? He
Uh-huh.
worked outside and he
Right.
loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. There were days he did not love,
Mhm. Mhm.
but there were years that he loved. And I saw that and I wanted that. And I realized if I continue down a track, like go and get a seaside degree, for example, I'm going to be working inside, staring at a screen for 8 hours a day. That's going to be the rest of my career. And I didn't want that. I saw that he got to work outside and he loved it. And I said,
Mhm.
that's great. I want to do that. And I want to love that too. And I wanted to work with people more. I like this, what we are doing right now, Joe, right?
Right.
I
Right.
wanted
Just
to do a lot more of this. And so I went into urban planning. I um, found out one, that no matter what your job is, you are now sitting in front of a computer for 8 hours a day, even when you're talking to people.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
The other thing is in that job, which I loved, but I found that most of the tasks I was being assigned were the technical tasks because I could do them.
Yeah,
So it
you
was
were
I was
that
making
guy.
websites, I was analyzing census data, GIS, which is basically a technical cartography, right? So I ended up saying, I love city planning. I gotta do something different, and I'd only been in for a few years, so it wasn't hard time to make a pivot. I was in my early 20s still, and I said, let's just do software. Let's just do this professionally." I took an internship in Minnesota,
Okay.
and that's where I'm at now. I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota. I've been here since then. Um, and I said, "I just need some professional experience and to learn along the way." And due to a lot of good luck and some merit as well, I worked up and around, ended up, leading teams and, getting to be a part of a couple different startups. It was a lot of fun. In, um, January 2020, I found out that the employer I was working for, there was going to be a planned separation, that
Mm.
my role would be eliminated, and I was given some advance notice, for that. And so, me and my partner, we decided to start Northbuild. And, we started the prep because we knew it was coming. And then, the final decision day for, "Hey, today is your last day." I forget the exact date, but it was around March 15th, 2020. And I thought, "Great, today's my last day." And then it was basically the very next day, everybody hid in their homes,
Yeah,
wouldn't come outside, wouldn't talk to me, and wanted nothing to do with business, and nobody was hiring. And
yeah,
people forget that part of COVID. They remember the COVID boom,
yeah.
but they forget that the early parts of COVID, it was not boom. There was a blanket hiring freeze, basically globally. Nobody was hiring.
Yeah, you forget that people just shut the lights off, the doors, and
Mhm.
to your point, hid, froze, didn't do
Right.
anything, and I can't remember how long that went on, but it was probably longer than we think.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly either because at some point, we remember the tech boom happened and we got to ride a little bit of that wave, which was nice. But when we started Northbuilt, we both of us, my partner Aaron and I, we had worked in agencies before, and nothing against the agencies we had worked for, but there's something in the nature of the work, and I believe folks in marketing agencies would say the same, right? Any kind of agency, there's so much pressure to deliver that as the creative who is actually doing the delivery, the software developer or the marketing person, whoever it is, depending on your agency, there's pressure to cut corners, to do shoddy work. And for me, having seen my family's business growing up, blue collar work based in, a hard work ethic where you don't cut corners, you do
Right.
things right. My partner Aaron came from his also a family business. They do poultry and now lots of other agribusiness in West Central Minnesota. Same values, similar background, and it didn't sit right with us to start an agency that was like that. And we said, what if we could do it differently?
Uh-huh.
What if we could take the best of technology talent that right now goes at that time goes to the coasts because that's where all the venture capital money is. That's where all the billionaires want to invent the next new big thing. We're going to solve world hunger. Those are awesome, right? There's a place for that in the marketplace. But unfortunately, because there were not enough technologists in the
Mhm.
marketplace, all the talent goes to those businesses. And the businesses we grew up around in the heartland, in the Midwest, wherever you are, that I say are real people doing real things,
Yeah,
solving real
exactly.
problems, they're not getting the best of the technology expertise that's out there today. And that, from my perspective, that presented a market opportunity.
It's a I mean, I love that story because you utilize your Midwest kind of hard work ethic, but then I love what you said about your dad. He worked outside and he loved his job. And I think that's a thing that if you I don't this is completely made up numbers, but I'm guessing if you asked 100 people if they love their job, a huge percentage of them is gonna say, "No, I don't." I'm gonna guess like 80%. And most of them are probably gonna be like, "In fact, not only do I not love my job, I freaking hate my job." And that sucks. That
Yeah.
really sucks for people. Because
Mhm.
imagine trying to be productive and get your, get the best out of yourself if you're like, man, this is a grind every day and it's brutal. So I love that. You've created yourself something that you love, number one. And then number two, yeah, everybody's about numbers too these days. I gotta hit the 15th of the month. It's gotta be done on the 15th. You're like, well, it's not gonna be completely done. It's gonna be 90% done. I don't care. 90% is good enough. And you're like, well, not really.
Right.
We can do it a different way. We can figure out a better option here. So, dude, your origin story is awesome. I mean, I love it. It's fantastic. And so all of a sudden you get laid off during COVID. You and your partner say, we're going to start this thing that's different, that's unique, and that's going to solve these problems. Did you start with all the services you offer now? I'm guessing you've added services. What did you start
We have
with?
subtracted services.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
This is
Okay.
yeah, this is fun. So, when we started, we were so, blissfully stupid. I love it. Because we said we're both good at software development. We've both been involved in startups. We had both, like, built some businesses, a little bit, not like what we have today, but enough to make us think we knew what we were doing. If I know how to be a software developer, then I know how to start a software development business. That
Let
was
me
my
let me
line of
interject here real quick, just so the audience knows. What in your define software development for the layman, real quick.
yes. Uh, Used to be more commonly known as computer programming, right? So
Okay.
this is, until recently with AI, well, we'll get there later.
We'll get there.
Um,
Yeah.
but it was actually writing the code, right? So
Okay.
this is the person who receives the requirements. Sometimes the role involves actually coming up with the plan, so sketching out what what kind of code will I be writing in what spots, and then actually writing the code and being responsible for its delivery. The more there are some specialized roles in there if you want, but a general software
That's the
development
general, yeah,
that's going to cover all of that.
yep, you're covering it. So, you're naive, you go in, you're like, "We know how to develop software, we're gonna be everything for everybody."
Oh yeah.
Okay.
What I didn't realize was that running a business is a separate skill
Yep,
that I
it
had to
is.
learn.
Yep,
I
yep,
did not know it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Once again, folks, wisdom right here. This is the prime example. I love it.
And so that I've got some books on my shelf that, help me out a lot. The benefit of a lot of coaches and mentors. It's been very valuable. But yeah, we started doing what one of my mentors called AFM, anything for money. And there's a place for that in a business when you
Especially
don't,
when you're starting out. Yeah,
yeah, you don't know where the market is necessarily. You don't know, like, I've got some solution, but I don't know exactly what that solution looks like. So I'm going to start to have a conversation. I'm even going to let the customer lead a little bit.
yeah,
Or I'm going to let them lead me to a solution. And then eventually I'm going to find that, 10 out of 20 wanted the same thing or something very similar. And
yeah,
the other 10 that wanted something different, well, now we're actually just drowning in our
yeah,
business because 'cause we've got
right.
custom processes for each one of them.
Of course, and you're going back to your roots when building websites, and you're saying, "Yep, yep, I can work 17 hours
Right.
a day," and at that point, I'm doing the math, you probably don't have kids yet, but you're about ready to? You said your
I
oldest
had
is
my first when we started Northville.
okay, so
Yeah.
that's a whole different set of now all of a sudden, you look yourself in the mirror, and you're like, "Well, Chris, you're not the important one anymore. Now it's all about
Right.
my wife and my little one."
Mhm.
That's a weird feeling for those that don't have kids, was when it hits you, you're like, "Okay, let's be responsible. Let's try to figure this out." And one of those
Exactly.
is financially, you've gotta provide for a family here, right?
Yeah, yeah, and with 4 kids, my wife stays home 4 days a week, because I have flexibility and actually one of our business core values is family, and by that, we don't mean we are a family. We don't mean that because, well, our the folks we work with, unless it's a family business, literally, are not family, right? We can choose to depart and leave at any time. There is a transactional relationship here, right? I love you, but there's also a transaction.
That's intelligent to say. So many people have family as their core value,
Mhm.
and that doesn't mean that when you go to work, your coworkers and everybody are your family. No, 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 no. That means that your family, your immediate, the people that are gonna be looking over you
My
on you,
family,
yeah,
yes.
your crew that are looking down on you on your deathbed. You're not gonna be I highly doubt, some client that you signed in 2025 is gonna come and be like, "Chris, we're gonna hold your hand." No, but your wife and your kids are gonna be there, I promise you. So,
Absolutely,
yeah.
right. So and that is one of our core values is and we don't prescribe what family looks like, different people in different situations. We just say your primary relationships in your life, those are more important than the work we're doing here because those will outlast Northbuilt.
Yep,
I'm
exactly.
I know a lot of our a lot of my customers are multi-generational businesses. They're either family businesses or they've been, passed down from a closely held owner down on, right? Um, and they have outlasted probably their founders. But Northbuild, I actually don't know if we're going to, and I wanna be real about that
Yeah,
and say, like, the work we're doing echoes into eternity. Absolutely. However, uh, the job you've got today might not be here 10 years from now, and technology's changing so much, I don't know what
yeah,
10 years from now will look like. So, hold on to your family and make that the most important thing in your life, not work. And we put money behind that. So we have a 4-day work week at Northbuilt, all of our team.
yeah,
And people think we're dumb for that because agencies make money by trading time for money. And we just cut 20% of our revenue off
right.
by saying we're not gonna work on Fridays for us.
Yeah,
But it's because we believe in that so strongly. And so, everyone does something different with their
yep.
Fridays. For me, I let, Bree, my wife, work on Fridays.
There you go. But you know as well as I do that, when you're raising 4 kids, that's real work, man. That's not easy, and it's yeah, I love the instant we can all decide to really when you start to decide to love your career is when you don't think about the revenue. You just said we cut 20% of our revenue. Money's not everything, folks. It's not that I'm gonna probably get flack for saying this, but it's not the most difficult thing if you wanna make money. Anybody can make money. But fulfillment and purpose and that feeling you get, that's the stuff you gotta chase. That's the stuff. That's the real stuff that's gonna last.
I love that. I hope you get flack for that because then the message will spread.
There you go. We'll see. You'll be amazed how much flack sometimes you do get for throwing yourself out there. That's a different story, but anyway, so, anyway, you start with a bunch of services, and you learn, to kinda hone in on these things, and now, for the most part, what I'm seeing, because I go to your website, and I'm seeing things that a lot of manufacturers now are if they don't have, they're in desperate need of. Things like dealer portals, how to do business quicker, faster,
Mhm.
easier,
Right.
is something that every business should be thinking about, and that's really what I look at you and Northbuilt for. That you try to make it easier, quicker, faster, smarter to do business
That's
with
exactly
with
right.
customers, right? Yeah.
And especially right now.
Yeah.
And so the prime service that we offer is building, supporting, maintaining the software that your custom software, the custom software that you have, right? So it may have been existing and we're coming to, we call it adopt it, or perhaps we're building new for you. And a lot of folks, when they think about it, they think it's a capital expenditure. It doesn't have to be, right? The way you finance it or place it on your books can be different.
Uh-huh.
And they think it's overhead. This is going to my G&A line item. My CFO, my accountant is going to say absolutely no way. And especially in times like these, right? For we have common familiarity with agribusiness and agricultural manufacturing. This is an extremely difficult market right now for a lot of different reasons. But even outside of this specific niche, when you look at manufacturing generally, it's difficult anyway,
It's all bad.
just
Exactly.
because of the policy landscape right now. It
Yep.
it is it's hard to predict, is
Yeah.
what it is.
It's completely uncertain, and that causes people to pause and stick their feet in
Right.
concrete or peanut butter or basically do nothing, you
It's
know?
like the early days of COVID.
Yep.
We don't know we think this is 2 weeks, but we don't know if it's 2 weeks.
Yeah, good
We're gonna
point.
hold off and do nothing until
Yeah.
we have a little more certainty.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's so true. But you say, you come into businesses and utilize, you said it, I don't wanna ruin what you said, but you kind of help them, utilize the software that they already have? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and a lot of folks come to us with custom built software already. I always say Dave the IT guy, and then every once in a while I'm talking to a Dave, and so I have to change the name. But I always say Dave the IT guy has been with the company. You know, a great friend, a great colleague,
Mhm.
really supportive. Has been with the business for 20, maybe 30 years, right? And at some point, Dave realized, hey, we could introduce software to this operation and everything would run a lot better. And so Dave was the pioneer in the
Yeah.
business 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And Dave built something that the whole business runs on now. Dave retired 5 years ago.
You're meaning like ERP
Yes,
systems
ERPs,
or
dealer portals, warehouse management, inventory management,
right.
quoting system,
Got
CPQ,
it.
right?
Got it. Dave had this idea to this would make us so much more efficient, but Dave also was the guy where if your screen went black, he'd have to be like, the Saturday Night Live skit, move, off he types in a code and you're done. He was the he was the IT, guru. And I would argue now, I'd like to get your take on this, and this just came to my brain, but there's a lot of IT guys and gals, people that are in industries. I see that as you know, it's a hard career to last in. A lot of companies are laying those people off pretty quickly. I'm just noticing that, like big corporations. I'm not going to name any
Yeah.
names because I don't want to get in trouble. But I know 3 or 4 people like in my neighborhood that just recently got laid off, and I'm like, huh, you guys were all doing the same thing. And
Mhm.
I'm sitting here thinking there's a huge need for that, but maybe the reality is there is a huge need, but there's a better way to allocate that resource by going to a company like you guys. Is that
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, so, to speak to the layoffs a little bit, there's a lot of it is happening. You said the big companies, I mean, just pull open the front page of the news,
Exactly.
you'll know which companies.
Right.
Uh, they they got caught up in the tech bubble, and it was a bubble, right? That post-COVID tech bubble, and the it came down, right? It's not like the dot-com crash. I don't think it's that severe, but it is a reckoning, maybe a correction, call it,
Uh-huh.
of coming back down to earth. And a big reason is interest rates being higher than they had been for the last decade. In my opinion, they're historically normal right now,
Sure.
but we got really used to easy money.
When you're used
Yeah.
to 2% or 0% or negative
Mhm.
integers percent. Yeah, they were giving it away.
Macro things affect those big companies so much more directly.
Of
And
course. Yeah, we're talking
um,
billions of dollars and,
right, right.
2% versus 10%, that's real
Exactly.
money. Yeah.
Hmm. For for those folks though, I mean, it's hard right now, but clients that we are working with, we you know they obviously are feeling the effects of the macroeconomic landscape. They're feeling that in different ways. But technology within these small or mid-market companies, down market from the big players, is still largely immune from the ill effects of that. And I think it's because they never ballooned up in the first place. They
Yeah.
always ran lean. Manufacturers know lean. They invented lean, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
they're not gonna bloat up their overhead, which is what IT and software development typically is booked as. They're not gonna bloat up overhead because that's gonna look bad on your books. That's not how you run a lean business. And so, when times are harder, you look at, "Hey, if you need to trim, where do we need to trim?" You look at IT and maybe if you've got 10 people on staff, maybe 1 or 2 go, but any more than that, and you realize, you're playing with fire. Talk about cybersecurity right now, oh my gosh. You don't wanna cut technology when cybersecurity is such a threat.
Is cybersecurity a real threat or is it just something to
Yeah,
scare everybody? It is a real threat in your opinion.
absolutely,
Okay.
and, uh, it's I it is in my experience, I have seen more small businesses fall to, sophisticated cybersecurity attacks than I have heard about big businesses fall into these.
When you say
One
small businesses, you mean like, what, 10 people? Real small, right?
10 to 100,
Oh, 10
a
to
few
100.
100.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, I
got it.
mean, like, even, like, mid-size businesses,
That
like,
just haven't really believed in it. "Oh, that's not gonna affect me. Nobody cares about our
I'm
little"
too small for anyone to care about
Yep.
me.
I
Right.
I gotcha.
Exactly, and there is some comfort in that. In software, we call it security by obscurity. So if you can leave something out there that's insecure for a while because no one's gonna even know it's there.
Right.
But once people start looking or they find out that it's there, that needs to be secure by that point,
Yeah. Right,
or
right.
else or else you're in trouble. And what folks don't realize is that the target on their back is bigger than they think it is because they are critical infrastructure. And North Korea, Russia, China, they know that. They
Mhm.
know they're not going to be able to, um, attack the systems of Microsoft, right? Microsoft, I mean, maybe they'll succeed. They'll just get lucky if they do, right?
Sure.
But Microsoft, they know what they're doing with cybersecurity for the most part, right?
Yeah.
And
They're
and it's
probably
pretty
spending
locked down.
millions of dollars a month on
Oh,
cybersecurity. Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Or think, think the largest manufacturers in our space, right? The
John
big
Deere,
color, yeah,
CNH, yeah,
the big
whatever. Yeah.
colors out on the fields,
Yep.
okay? They they've they are a target, of course. And, would North Korea love to disrupt John Deere because it's targeting the food supply of America? Absolutely, they would love that. But they also know realistically that's going to be hard to do. So how about instead of targeting John Deere, you target John Deere suppliers,
Yeah.
their suppliers, and their suppliers. And that's how they disrupt the supply chain that ultimately is national security for us.
Yeah. Which ultimately is also John Deere. John
Mhm.
Deere relies so much on the supply chain. Really, all companies do, but even a huge company like John Deere, everybody thinks they just have all these parts sitting in a warehouse and they just put it together. No, 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 no. That's not how it works. They're relying on thousands and thousands of companies with that millions of SKU numbers. And if we saw that during COVID, when something goes awry, it's freaking chaos. It's
Oh, yeah.
absolute chaos.
We see it every time there is, major macro disruptions. Just-in-time shipping got super popular in the '90s, and then September 11th happened, and suddenly a bunch of global supply chains disrupted.
Yeah.
Air flight is now grounded for 3 days, and it threw everything off, right?
Yeah.
COVID obviously was even bigger than 9/11, with regard to supply chain disruption. And, it just in small events, I read in the news, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, there was a big fire at a manufacturing facility in Georgia that now is going to, slash, output for one of the major auto manufacturers.
Hey, folks, let's pause the podcast for a second to talk about one of the companies making the Germinate podcast possible. Want to give a huge thanks to GBGI. Here's Mark Adams.
Thanks, Joe. At our shop in Chardon, Ohio, every part we build is made with precision. From the CNC machining to the final inspection, we don't rush because we know your customers can't afford failure. If you're a dealer or OEM who wants reliability built in, give us a look. GBGI, built to spec, built to last. Learn more at gbgiusa.com. GBGI, grow with us.
Well, think about all the chip issues that we had, or even food production go into. Remember when all those, which was weird, and I put my tinfoil hat on now, but it was weird when like full uh, processing plants were just combustible or spontaneously combusting into flame and gone. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden there was no meat in the Walmart or the grocery
Mhm.
store. And
Mhm.
it's a fine line we're all walking here is the point. Yeah, I think you're bringing up a great point with you better make sure that it's not just a matter of your business. Now it's your customers and their customers and
Mhm.
ultimately the end user and ultimately to your point, it's the security of our country, right?
Right. I
Yeah.
believe so. And some governments, I know the federal government offers a lot of resources now for training and support. Some state governments are mandating that manufacturers and the large agricultural producers that they have cybersecurity plans in place. That
Uh-huh.
they either have them in some cases even file them with the state government, depending on where you are. because they are classified as critical infrastructure, and they need to make sure for their state or national interests that you keep running.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, yeah, I love it. I'm gonna shift gears on you a little bit here, but uh, I spent 20 years in a career, in a family-owned business, and part of one of my roles there was I was the manager of the IT department.
Mhm.
And I didn't know anything about it, but it fascinated me because, that was like 2022 and AI was just coming out, right? It was I think somebody, in fact, maybe one of those guys showed me ChatGPT at a restaurant or something. I was like, "Oh my
Yes.
gosh, this is friggin' sweet. This is gonna
Yes.
take over the world,"
That was a
right?
watershed moment.
Right,
Yes.
it definitely was. I can't even remember what I typed in, but something stupid like, "Tell me what I should have for dinner tonight," and, before you know it, um but I always would tell them in kind of our strategy meetings, and I hate that word, but our meetings was like, your guys' job is to make the lives of all of our employees, just like I said to you, easier, faster,
Mhm.
uh, smarter. So we need to think of ideas and ways to do that. And that kind of department fizzled away because that was a big cut. But the point was that's what I would always tell them. Like you guys are on the forefront of all this technology, and there's so much of this that we can utilize in any space. And of course in manufacturing and agriculture, which is always like way behind technology. But anyway, the whole AI thing came to me, and that was dude, that was 2022, and now we're at 2025, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." It's like the number 1 topic in the world, and
Right.
it's moving at a rate that no one's really ever seen, and everybody says AI is gonna take over your job, or there's going to be all these self-made millionaires because of AI, and
Mhm.
I don't know what to believe. I don't know. I have no idea, but I do know I'm fascinated by it. So, what was your watershed AI moment? I'm sure it was before me because you've probably been thinking about this a long time, but go ahead.
A little bit. I see it as, um, an early peak. So when people first tried ChatGPT, and for me, I had my own moment. For me, it was, doing some natural language processing, so it was earlier than ChatGPT.
What's
But
natural language processing?
so
Like a
that's
large
like
language model?
speech to text and
Oh, okay.
early LLM, so not LLM, but a little bit of a precursor,
I
some of
gotcha.
that technology too. We were doing some of that at an employer I was with at the time. And so seeing that, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe this is so good. Can you believe what technology is doing now? And so that is that first moment, and you're fascinated and enamored and you want to try more. And so you use it more and more and more, and you start to push up against its limitations.
Sure.
And you realize the facade is broken a little bit, right? It's like you should never meet your heroes. Well, what for a lot of people, ChatGPT was their hero,
Yep. Yep.
and then they started using it and they realized, "Oh, ChatGPT thinks 2 plus 2 is 3. How stupid."
Right. I know. I
Right?
hear you. Yeah.
And and the facade starts to crack, and they say, "Oh, this is not as good. This is all hype. It's no good. Don't worry about anything. That was so dumb. AI is just a fad," right? And so, okay,
Right.
now we're going to this valley of, discontent, maybe we'll call it.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you push through that, a lot of people give up right there, right? A lot of
Yeah.
people stay at the peak.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Then a lot of people who push on a little more, they get to the valley and they give up right there. But you gotta keep pushing.
Yeah.
You gotta keep pushing because what you find is that instead of finding more and more limitations, you just understand that AI is a tool. It's a technology just like any other technology,
Uh-huh.
just just like a self-propelled tractor, right? Like this is new and I don't know how to use it, but if I keep pushing, I will find out how I actually use this well for the rest of my working career, right?
Yeah.
Like this is how I continue to
Yeah.
use it. And that's when you come back to peak level and you stay there because now I know its limitations. I'm not going to use it like a calculator because it sucks at that.
Yeah.
But I have figured out it can do this and this and this for me, and isn't it amazing?
Yeah. The concern that maybe I mean, there's so many more AI tools out there than just the large language models that I hope people can kinda start adopting as well. Because now everybody sort of emails sound everybody uses it for emails now, and there's always a long dash, and it's like, "Oh my gosh, I know that person. You did not write that email. I'm not stupid," you know? There's no way you've ever used that word in your entire life. But you know what I mean? And you see it on social media posts, you see it everywhere. And I get it because it makes it quicker, it's fast, and sometimes it's your own brain going, okay, I want to email Chris that we're gonna meet for drinks tonight at 6 o'clock, and I can't remember the name of the address of the restaurant, so you do it for me. It's copy paste, Chris. There you go. We're meeting at 6. It's
Right.
fast.
Mhm.
Um, what bothers me that I see a little bit now is that are we losing our brains? Are we not utilizing the stuff in between our ears, and we're just turning to mush in a strange way? Am I wrong in thinking that?
I don't think you're wrong, and
Yeah.
I share your concern, but I do not believe it applies to all of society.
Yes.
So,
Good point.
I will put it that way too. The, um, AI is like it's like a jetpack for folks who are willing to use it as an accelerator for the knowledge and the experience that they already have, and as an accelerator for their own learning.
Sure.
It is a crutch that will keep people down if they wanna use it as a replacement for their own intelligence.
That is so smart, dude. And it triggered a thought for me. I'm older than you, but when we would go out with my buddies, this is before we were married, we'd go to a bar, watch a football game. We'd have a conversation, "Oh, who won the Super Bowl in 1987?" And you'd all have to sit there and think about it, you know? You'd have
Yes.
to be like, "Oh, well, I know the Bears won in '85," you know, whatever. And who was that receiver on the Lions that had that awesome play? You'd have to think about it. Or, it could be something about anything. And now everybody's like, "Oh, it was whatever,"
Yeah.
the
You have
name
Google
is
in your pocket.
yeah, you
Yeah.
got Google in your pocket, and there was the generation of Googlers. They would have every answer for you, and it's like, I don't really necessarily want the answer from Google. I wanna have a conversation with you and try to think about it and work it out. Those were the fun times, and now we're taking it one step further to where it's like, everybody just thinks they're super smart and super intelligent, and I think there's some danger in that of just what you said. You've gotta be careful it doesn't replace your own knowledge, and you've
Mhm.
gotta continuously learn. I think that's an important thing for people to
Right.
do, and one way to do that is by having conversations with people, real
Exactly.
conversations with people. Yeah, exactly. So
Real conversations with real people.
right.
That's exactly it, and AI is not intelligence, and I know you've had folks on your show already talking about, what is the nature of an LLM? How does it work under the hood, right?
Yeah.
It's not actual intelligence. The name's a bit of a misnomer. It's marketing. Everything is marketing,
Yeah.
right? That's fine.
Right.
But it's not learning on itself. It's not going through the same rationality and exercises that we do, and it certainly doesn't have emotion, which is a core and fundamental piece of the human experience,
Right.
right?
And the customer experience if you're a business. Think
Yes.
of that emotion that you're driving. And I always say one of the pillars we talk about on my consulting side is your brand. What is your brand as a business? And everyone's like, well, we have this cool logo. I'm like, no, 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 no. What does it feel like when somebody does business with you? What feeling do you give them? Because
Mhm.
that can be like so contagious. If they're
Mhm.
like, oh, it feels like I talked to Chris in Northville. These guys are just damn good people. That's contagious. It spreads so
Right.
fast versus
Mhm.
some crazy cool logo that you spend millions of dollars on that nobody gives a crap about.
Yeah.
That's not your brand.
Mhm. And I
Emotions
s
matter, and they always
Yeah.
probably will.
Yes, absolutely. We, in our experience and in my personal experience, we've been using AI to replace the tedium of what we do, but not the creativity and the knowledge and the thought. And when it comes to creativity and knowledge and thought, I have successfully been able to use it as a sparring partner,
Right, that's a good
right?
call, yeah.
So I can go and have a conversation, if you will. I know it's fake. I know there's not a real person on the other side, but I can have a conversation with an LLM and just help me get my thoughts out a little bit because what I know is on the other side, it's a computer, right? But it's a computer that's been trained on in the case of Anthropic, for example, pretty much the entire body of all English language literature, and we know that because they were sued for doing that.
Yes, yes,
And so it's like, hey, if I want to query the library of essentially all human knowledge, I can do that now. Isn't that incredible?
exactly.
But
It's awesome.
on the other hand, if I just lean on that as a crutch, what I get back will be decidedly mediocre. By definition, average, because that's exactly what an LLM is supposed to do.
Yes. I mean, that's why I think there's this wave. I'm gonna go here with you, and I don't
Go
know what
ahead.
your thoughts are, but there's this wave of youth, the youth of America going towards religion because they're longing
Yes.
for something that just actually makes them feel versus I got the answer. Nobody cares about the answer. People wanna know you. They wanna know the real you, the truth of you, and the core of you, and then these kids are trying to find out what is the core of me? Who am I? What is my Oh, wait a minute. I was created by God. He uniquely created me, and that's
Yes.
pretty freaking cool, you know?
Yes.
I don't have an answer to that. I just have faith in that, and that faith, man, that's like a fire burning inside you, and they're ready for it again. It's
Yeah.
awesome to see.
I'll see that, Joe, and I'll raise you because, it's not just religion. I do not belong to any high church liturgical tradition,
Yeah.
personally, me and my family, we do not. But, when you look at where is religion growing, it is specifically the liturgical traditions.
Yeah.
That is where it's growing. It's orthodoxy, by the way, among specifically men in their 20s are flocking to Orthodox Christianity in America, unlike has ever been seen before. And I think it's fascinating to watch from the outside.
I bet.
But
Yeah.
what you see from that liturgical tradition is something real, tactical. Yes, it's soul, it's body, it's physical and spiritual all together, right? In this sacramental embrace.
Yes.
And that is what people are longing
It's
for
just
today.
it's what it's and I believe that's why we were created, and these tools that we all have, as long as you don't let them mess up your mind, it's kind of like what everybody says about the internet and social media. I don't think it's all bad. I think there's so many good things about social media. I think
Mhm.
there's some awesome information that I've seen and, motivating things, lessons that I've learned, things that you can learn. There's great things. There's also a lot of crappy, bad, negative, awful things. But
Yes.
what happened to our critical thinking to be like, "Well, that's ridiculous. I'm not gonna friggin' partake in that kinda crap." What happened to that? Just let
Yeah.
it go. Let it
Just
go.
twice already this week, and this is now the 3rd time I've, the statement has come up in conversation with people I know, by the way, only on the internet. So I've never met these people in person,
Fair,
but we've
fair.
had conversation like this over Zoom or
Yeah,
whatever. And he said, the internet is a bad place for nuanced takes."
yeah.
It just is.
It just is.
You can't have a nuanced opinion on the internet. It's tough.
No. You're gonna find you're gonna sway, and the algorithms are gonna sway you towards something. You gotta be That's why I would love to have your knowledge because you gotta be aware that there's this underneath portion that is driving you to try to fire your brain and trigger your brain into buying something or clicking on something, and
Mhm.
you gotta understand that a little bit, and we've digressed away from your business, but,
I love it. No, we haven't. We
okay,
haven't. We've
yeah.
gotten to the substance of why we do what we do. I
Yeah.
love it.
No, that's great, man. That's great. And so the real question that I never asked, so we just started talking about the real question is I'm like, I learned ChatGPT in 20 not that long ago. And things have changed and rapidly changed so fast that I'm guessing wh what do you see is coming here? What
Mhm.
are companies going to have to do here in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 in 5 years from now, every business is going to look totally different in my opinion. It's just going to it's gonna change so fast. So
Mhm.
what can you do in the next year, in your opinion, to be ready for this?
Yeah, so, we mentioned this before we hopped on the recording, but, I'm giving a talk at the next FEMA, conference here in October in Las Vegas, and it's titled "The 18-Month Window: Beating Full Line Manufacturers to Distribution AI-Ready Distribution,"
I didn't even
right?
know that, so this is perfect. I
There we
knew you
go.
were giving a session, but I didn't know the title, so now I do, and I won't miss it, and everybody go, but dude, awesome. This is a great I'm excited to hear a little bit. Don't give away the farm because we want people to go to
I
FEMA,
won't,
but yeah.
but here's the gist. If, um AI is not about replacing your people. In fact, you can do that if you want, but I feel like it's like cutting your legs out from under you if you do that. AI is an accelerant for the processes, your quality, your craftsmanship, everything that you do well already. AI is going to accelerate that. It will magnify your flaws too, but for most of our clients,
Yeah. Yeah.
they've been in business long enough. They've worked through a lot of that already, and they've got generations of experience behind them and how to do the thing they do well and make the thing they make well. AI is going to accelerate that. Specialists, precision specialists and short line manufacturers in particular, they have always been at the forefront of agricultural technology. Always. The the larger corporations, they're great, they've got a place in the market, and it's good that they're there. And they are large bureaucracies that
Mhm.
take longer to implement technology by necessity. That's just a
I
trade-off
think they're
from.
aware of that.
Yeah.
It's fair to them as well. Yeah.
It's not even a bad or a good. It's just it's the nature of the beast,
Yeah.
right? It's smaller people are nimble, larger people are less nimble, and that's just how it
Yep.
always is. So, um, there is an opportunity right now to pick off the low-hanging fruit for AI because the larger players haven't got to it yet. They're working on it. They're absolutely working on it. And they've got a lot of resources, but they haven't got around to deploying it yet because they're in their own planning cycles, right? And so now is the window where there is low hanging fruit. And especially when we're in a tough economic climate, this is the time when you start looking at technology to say, how can this support our revenue goals? This isn't just about efficiency anymore. It's not just about quality. These are important. These are absolutely important, right? Like everyone wants to increase their OEE and decrease their lead time and all of this. Absolutely. But let's look at revenue and how can AI support this right now? If you've been in business longer than a few years, you've got historical data for all of your quotes.
Yeah.
How can you make your sales operation move faster, get to market quicker by using the data you already have to predict where the market is moving next, to identify predictively who is ready to buy in the next 6 months, to get them quotes faster and more accurately, which means, less rework or, fewer products going out with, below target margins,
Yeah.
right? All of
Yeah.
this AI makes possible, and it's not even LLMs, actually. It's other forms of AI that people don't talk about, which is fine, but it's because it's not a consumer,
Right.
application.
Right. It's working in the background of,
Yeah,
you
more
know.
traditional machine learning.
Yeah. Yeah. It could just look at, large dumps of data and extrapolate exactly what you wanna know from it, and to your point with quotes and customers, companies already have this data. It's all there, but
Yes.
if you're not doing anything with it, well, then it's not really why are you even keeping it? There's no point, you know? Why are you even looking back on it? And so, yeah, that's a great idea, man. I mean, and I've even seen things on because 'cause I'm kinda torn on CRMs. I don't really know where I stand with them. To me, they're kind of a time waster,
Yeah.
uh, and they're sort of big brother watching. I run a CRM here. I run one through HubSpot. I love it because it's super
Yeah.
it's basically AI driven. It does all my organizing for me. But
Yeah.
that being said, I get why there's some complaints, but CRMs are sort of they were created before AI too. So
Mhm.
I think AI has this way to really utilize how to make the right sales call, who to talk to, who's your ideal customer, how do you align your strengths to that customer, how do you lower your lead times, how do you quote something faster. AI can do that a lot. Now CRMs are adopting a lot of AI, but the general standard CRM where you enter your sales call in, and I called on Tom at Bob's Burger Shack at 3:20, and Bob told me to call back in 2 weeks. Who cares? That's not a
Right.
revenue generating activity, to your
Mhm.
point. And I'd
Mhm.
say that all the time, RGAs.
Yes.
And
I, by
revenue,
the way, love that,
yeah,
and I've been
exactly.
following that.
Good, good. I'm in the process of writing a book about it, so
Oh,
I'll
good.
send you one.
Sign me
It's
up. Yeah.
hard for me because, I keep rewriting it, but anyway, it'll be out eventually, before I die. But revenue does not just mean money either. Revenue means what you are awarded back, and it means what you're awarded back by what you put in. So,
Mhm.
there's so many ways to reward yourself back, but you gotta know what you put in, and that's where you come in, right? I mean, or not you I'm promoting you, but there's a lot of yous out there. That's not the point, but
There are. It's a big ocean, right? And I love my industry because it's very collegial for that reason. But yes, the data that you've got is probably your most valuable asset in a market like this today, and it's for all of those reasons to accelerate your revenue operations, right? HubSpot popularized that term also.
yeah, right.
Like revenue operations are accelerated because of the data that you have, as long as it's in a structure and format that a machine learning model can digest and use, right? And just like with ChatGPT or Claude, I can query what is effectively the entire body of all human knowledge and get an answer back. I
Yep.
If we set artificial intelligence or some kind of machine learning model in front of your data, as long as it knows how to read and digest that data, you can query the entire history of all of your company's transactions and customer relationships and history and get an answer back.
It's amazing, man. How
Mhm.
valuable is that?
It's an embodiment of institutional knowledge
Yeah.
as well. I mean, think about churn risk internally,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
This is helping with that too, right? And CRMs were a big piece of helping eliminate the turnover risk within a sales operation, and this is just a next step in that as well.
Yeah. I love that you said it is the next step, and don't, because a lot of folks, a lot of companies probably invested into software the last 5 years. The
Mhm.
problem is the last 5 years have it's drastically different today than it
It's an
was. That
eternity in technology.
It's an eternity, exactly. It's like we're not even in the same frickin' I don't even know. It's like
Mhm.
we're in a different universe now, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
You had asked like 5, 10 years from now, uh, and I always tell people take one step at a time.
yeah,
Like, what's the low-hanging fruit? Are you doing that even yet? Internally, for us in our business, we're not even picking off all the low-hanging fruit yet. There's so much out there still. Big, for we're in Q4 now, so, big Q4 goals, we run EOS, or Q4 rocks, have to do with picking off some of more of this low-hanging fruit.
okay.
I have found very few people that have an entirely optimized AI operation. I haven't talked with anyone who has it. And so when we're talking like what's it gonna look like 10 years from now, my answer is honestly, I have no clue. I it'd be fun to have that conversation. We need another hour for that.
I know.
But as far as, the quick what do I think it's gonna be? I don't know. But
One
take
day at a time. Yep.
one day at a time.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a good advice. That's good advice for anything in life, but I thought
Mhm.
that was traction I was looking at behind you. We didn't
Yeah,
even
it is.
talk about EOS, which I know unfortunately, I know maybe too much about, and, maybe I'm negatively skewed on that too, but we'll have an offline conversation about it, Chris,
Of course.
um, but yeah, man, I told you this, it everyone's like, "Oh, we can't go for an hour." I'm like, "You'll be
It goes
surprised.
fast.
It goes fast." Yeah, we've got to get moving on here. But man, this conversation was awesome. We're gonna have to record a part 2 for sure because there's so much we didn't cover and there's so much we did, but fascinating stuff, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Tell everybody how to get in touch with you, how to get in touch with Northbuilt.
Yes. So Northbelt, our website, northbelt.com. There's a little bit there. The best way to find out about me and us and what we do is my website, chrismorbitzer.com. My last name is morbitzer.com. Or my LinkedIn profile, Chris Morbitzer. I'm active on there. I post quite a bit. There's also opportunity to sign up for an email newsletter, and I post more ethereal thoughts there as well. If you like these types of conversations,
I definitely see you on LinkedIn, and you're a good follow for sure. And LinkedIn's a great. It's an old platform, but I feel like it's totally changed over, and it's a new platform now over the last 2
yes,
years too. So, yeah, go follow. I'll put these in the show notes as well, so everybody can get in touch. You're also going to be in Las Vegas at the FEMA Convention, October. What is it, 28th through the 31st?
yes, correct. Yep.
And you're going to be given a session. What day is that session?
It's on Thursday,
Thursday.
October 30th, given a breakout session, the 18-month window, beating full line manufacturers to AI ready distribution.
Can't wait, dude. I appreciate you. Thanks again for doing this, and we will see you in Vegas here in a couple of weeks, man.
Thanks, Joe. Can't wait to see you.
Reach driven leaders with the Germinate podcast. Sponsor our show to align your brand with actionable insights and purposeful growth. Contact us today at embosales.com/podcast. That's www.embosales.com/podcast to partner and inspire our growing audience of professionals. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning into the Germinate podcast. If you found value in today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with others in the industry. And join me next time as we continue to explore the innovations and strategies shaping the future of agriculture and business. Until then, keep growing, keep innovating, and keep germinating your success.